Hey everybody, welcome back. We are out in the garage. Well, we're out in the garage, but the main portion of this video is going to take place in my basement because it's too cold out here to do any work, really. So, tonight we're going to put together, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. We're going to put together the rocker arm assembly, which is assembled inside the valve cover, and then there's a tappet adjustment cover that goes on there as well. But right now we're waiting on gaskets, so we're not going to seal anything up, and even if we had the gaskets, we wouldn't seal them up because everything still needs to be adjusted. So we are going to head inside the house and get going on the assembly of the rocker arms and the rocker shaft and everything that goes inside the valve covers. So let's head on inside. Okay guys, we're down here in the basement. We've got everything laid out kind of squatch style here. First up in front we've got all the rocker arms, the spacers, the spring. Then we've got our adjusters, and these are big adjusters. They're not like the smaller screws you'd see on like a 4-cylinder tractor. These are very large. Then we have our shaft for the rockers themselves. Now these do not have bushings in them. They're just a straight rocker on the shaft. There's nothing to help the wear. Luckily, this shaft is in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of wear, but most spots you can barely even catch your fingernail on. So after polishing it up, it turned out pretty good. So then moving over here, we have the oiling pipe. This is just a drip oiler. There's 2 cotter pins that are in here, and essentially the oil comes in through here and then travels through this tube and is plugged on the open end by 1 bolt. And I'm actually going to put a copper washer on this bolt, and I'll show you why later. But the oil travels through this tube and then drips out onto the rockers through the holes that have the cotter pins. And I think the cotter pins are in there to just kind of slow the oil flow a little bit. So here we have the set screws and jam nuts for the rocker shaft. Then these are the original drill plugs. This is the only part that I'm not going to be able to get done today. The drill plugs are a 1-inch expansion plug. They're the dish style plug, not the cup style. And the only place that I could find them, I checked all the local auto parts stores. They only had the cup style. The only place I could find them was in Granger's, and unfortunately I had to get a bag of 25 of those. So I only need 2. And then we have the tappet cover that goes on to the front of the valve cover here. So why don't we start by lubricating everything up that we need to assemble, and then we'll start sliding things together. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some grease onto the adjusting nuts or bolts, whatever you want to call these, the adjusting cups, if you will, because they're actually a cupped threaded piece. So I'm going to put some lubricant on here before we even, whoop, hold on, dog's out here barking. Okay, back to what we were doing. I'm not gonna be skimpy with the grease here. So now let's see, they will go this way. So they have these adjusting nuts or cups, if you will. And then they have the lock bolt that kind of cinches them down and pinches them in place. Do the second one here. Try to keep everything somewhat clean. Now I'm using Lucas, the red and tacky grease. I really like this stuff. It's thicker. It doesn't seem to get all over, you know, dripping on everything. Some of the thinner greases tend to run. This one kind of sticks where you put it, so I like the red and tacky stuff. Put some inside the cups too, just because. Never hurts to give it a little head start with grease on the inside. Now, I did coat everything with Gliptol, as you guys can probably see. Obviously, the areas that are kind of the riding areas, meaning, you know, where the shaft rides inside here, I didn't coat with Gliptol. I didn't coat the shaft itself because it's not needed. It's more of a hindrance than anything. So, okay, so I think one last thing that we're going to do is coat the insides of these spacers with grease. Now this whole assembly was froze up when I pulled it apart. This was all, everything was stuck. So might as well do the insides of the rockers since we're at it. Since we got the grease lid open. Again, I'm very liberal with this stuff. No reason not to be, it's just grease. Okay, so now what we can do is, first things first, I'm going to grease the journals that this shaft rides in. This is kind of exciting. This is the first. Now let's grease the whole shaft. Just give it a nice coat. And then one end of the shaft does have a dimple for the set screw, so you know kind of where it needs to be. So, now the way you want to orientate these is so that the adjusting screw, this portion here, is sticking out through the window. I'm gonna have to, I don't want to get grease all over everything, including my forearm. So, rocker arm, here, let me Let me move you guys so you can see a little bit better. We got the shaft end, rocker arm, spacer, then another rocker arm, then the spring, then another rocker arm. Whoop. Help if I put them on right. See, I only got to the second one and I'm already doing things backwards. Spring, rocker arm, spacer. Now you will have to compress the spring a bit. Sorry, I know my arm was in the way. Get everything kind of lined up here. There we go. I should have gotten a rag. Oh, look at that. There's some paper towels right here. That's one disadvantage of working with grease and cameras, moving things around. And you're trying to do things on the fly and do it in a manner that's conducive to time. Okay. So now, if you look down inside this hole where the set screw goes, you should be able to see that dimple that's in the shaft. So I'll go ahead and install the set screw. Till it bottoms out. Same thing with this one here. Now that one's not going to go nearly as deep because it doesn't have a dimple in the shaft. So all right. I like it. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. We got to tighten these up, but I need wrenches first. You know me, never fully prepared. I'm always somewhat prepared, but fully prepared, that's a whole nother thing. So we got the set bolts tightened down. See, that's probably, see if I grab the right size. First time. Now these don't have to be extremely tight, just gluten tight, if you will. So we got both of those in. Now this is where the top of the valves ride here, because the valve cover is actually, just like most, it's set down towards the bottom of the head, or down or up. I think it's down. So the only thing that we can't do on this one, like I said, I don't have the, I'm just cleaning out these holes with the grease that's extra because we are going to be putting hole plugs in here with some RTV sealant. So try to keep them as clean as possible so that the sealant actually sticks. That's plenty good. So if we had the hole plugs like this, they would go inside these holes here, and I'm going to put some RTV sealant in here before I put the hole plugs in. And then to expand them, you just hit them with a large drift, and it'll turn the dished portion into more of a flat piece of steel, which then causes it to expand. So the only other piece that we can do on this today is the oiling line. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's situated like this. So what I'm going to do is put a generous amount of RTV on here because there's no seal that goes inside here. This slides into here like so. And then it's held in place on the other side by a bolt that comes through. So let's get some RTV on my fingertip. Again, I'm not going to be skimpy on this. I hate when I love RTV for the fact that it works great, but it's kind of like anti-seize. It can really make a mess when you're trying to do delicate little areas. Okay, let's see how that looks. Getting caught up on them cotter pins here. Okay, and then, like I said, on the other side is just this little tiny hole right here. And I probably could put some RTV on there, but I'm going to risk it and just use a copper washer. And that just threads into the other end of that pipe. Cover up the grease. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't belong in there. Oh, half inch. Just snugged. So, all right. So now if we look at it from the front, holy buckets, we got some, we got a mess on our hands. We got RTV everywhere. Let's clean this up. Okay, better. So these, again, are the adjusters. Hope I did this right. I should, I think. Pretty sure that's the only way it can go. Just goes to show you, folks, take more pictures. But the only reason I'm questioning myself is because, oh no, we should be just fine. So that's how it's going to look closed up. But that's how it looks open. All right, well, that's as far as we can go. Okay, so here it is, minus the gaskets and the expansion plugs that go on either side. Here's that oiling pipe right here. So we put RTV all in this area here before we slide it in. There's a shoulder on this elbow that kind of centers itself in that opening. But this is your tappet adjustment cover, and then this is the valve cover itself. So you've got a two-piece valve cover, so to speak. But then when we flip it over, oh man, heavy. It's all cast iron here, folks. This is how it looks inside. So again, you've got these are the contacts for your valves, whoops, and then your push rods go into those cups, and those are what's adjustable. That's how you adjust your valve clearance, is underneath here. So it's actually done in reverse. On a normal tractor, you would adjust your valve clearance on the valve head side. On a D, you do it on the tappet side, or on the push rod side. So very interesting. But that's going to do it for this episode. I think that's going to be long enough for something as simple as putting rocker arms together, but it's a little bit different than on a regular tractor. So hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully we can continue on with reassembly. There's a lot more cleaning left to do, but the reassembly portion, at least some of it, has begun. So that's exciting. So hope you guys enjoyed. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, and thanks for wrenching with me, and we'll see you in the next one.